Hello and welcome back. Today is a new month and that means is a new build challenge. So in today's month of November we are doing a wooden roller coaster. And finally, this one's been in probably the backlog for the longest time to build a wooden roller coaster in the build challenge. So the starting budget I think is 14,000 and a scenery budget of 4,000. So I was super excited for this challenge, so I already had an idea right when what to build and what to work on. I had an idea to do a 50s themed style roller coaster because wooden coasters are a pretty old coaster type, and so that's what I decided to do. I would like to also first say that I did get into the my last build got into I think the last competition or the last month. I'm trying to say, yeah, floating towers got in, and I'm super excited that it got in, and thankful for all you guys who voted. That stuff, so it's really cool to have that into the game again. Again, but it's in the game. So, on to today's roller coaster. So it's going to be the wooden roller coaster, and it's going to be designed after a 50s themed. So my first eternal decision was something that's like modeled after the roller coaster Lightning Rod at Dollywood. So that's a wooden coaster, but it's an RMC. So it's a little different, but kind of imitating that idea with the type of style. In this challenge, I did a little bit different in order of build. I built the station first, and then I built the track layout later. I just wanted to get the building and the feel for it first before I wanted to build more of the roller coaster. I already had in mind that I wanted the coaster to go under itself at the station. I kind of like to do that with my wooden roller coasters. And the wooden coaster's layout's going to be like a little mix of spaghetti type of layout. So a lot of twists and helixes into themselves, and a very steep turn drop. That's kind of what I want to aim for. So here I'm just going to work on just simple detailings and just layout of the brick building of the roller coaster. The name of the roller coaster I didn't have in the beginning, but the name of it is called Red's Hot Rod. So I have a small story behind that. So just a woman who's named Red who owns a gas station and auto body shop or something, and this is the story behind it. So this is her shop, and you get onto this roller coaster, something like that. And so I will be building a gas station as well later on. So this is just me working on just the finishing of the station. So the station is kind of a mix of two buildings. So this building right here with the angled roofs is more like a warehouse, and the one behind it is like more of a brick office house, or office building, something like that. So that's where I'm kind of aiming for in a way. And I was experimenting with different types of roofs because I was using the hanger roofs first, and then I figured that it doesn't work out as much if I just used maybe the regular steel slat roofs or something like that. So then here comes into the part where I changed the color of that building to give them two different feels. In total there's like 3 buildings in this build, so kind of give it to be like a street. I made it kind of like a main street or a plaza in a way. It kind of was the idea, but I'm trying to just plan out all things like that. It's good to plan out a little bit ahead of time. And it's interesting building the station first because I also had to worry about what I need to leave left behind so I can build the roller coaster. So the roller coaster's layout was not really like, I wasn't really following a blueprint. I don't follow blueprints mostly when building a layout. I just kind of go with my gut and trying to go where things look nice or look realistic. So I kind of just meant for a lot of diagonal parts, because I think adding a diagonal part to a coaster adds an interest to it, to its layout, versus just following the grid. So I kind of wanted to do that the most, doing angled parts and then helixes and stuff like that. So this coaster is just more inspired by a mix of Ghost Rider, a little bit mix of how Lightning Rod runs, and maybe a little mixture of the old Colossus, not the new one. So it's just kind of like just entwined in itself, because I do want to make this as compact as possible. So I could there were so many different types of wooden coasters I could have designed. I could have designed a out and back, where it's very long and an L-shaped or something, or I could have made a very compact, like twisted wooden roller coaster. Because I've done twisted wooden roller coasters before. Wooden roller coasters are kind of like my guilty pleasure. I like wooden coasters ever since in RCD2 and RCD1 actually, because RCD1 you most likely will get to build a wooden roller coaster right off the bat. So doing that and doing this in Parkitect was kind of like going back to the old days of working on a wooden roller coaster. But yeah, this is just a simple layout. In this type of challenge, well, in the latest challenges now, that we have to do some certain type of intensity and excitement rating now, and so trying to think of ways that up your excitement and your intensity is you need to do lots more drops and maybe do some more turns. Banking turns will make it more intense, and doing bigger drops will also heighten your excitement. Excitement's actually, I think, the easiest to gain is because you can add those scenery. So because my scenery, when I build something, I usually focus on the station or the chain lift, and that adds way more excitement on it. It's actually easy to achieve the higher excitement versus the intensity. The intensity part of the coaster is the hardest to get. So more drops usually, or if you're doing a steel coaster, loops, corkscrews, stuff like that. So this went to, I think, a medium intensity, so it passed the grade to get through, so I was happy with that. I was really focused on coaster building wasn't the difficult part, it was the more placement of the buildings that I had in mind, and not to go over the budget that I was allotted. That's always the challenge, because with me, when it comes to free play, I want to build as detailed as possible, even the little stuff. I'll even do like little lines of bricks or something with the shapes or something, and maybe add lights, lamps everywhere. So I kind of like have to cut myself back when working on something like this in the challenges. But that's what's the point of the challenges. They give you a way to exercise your brain instead of just being freeform, because freeform you can just have so much you can do whatever you want. So right now I'm just adding a section of, like a roof border, kind of. So this is like a brick house that's like modeled off the 50s. This one's, I pull a lot of inspiration from the building that's used for Lightning Run in Dollywood, so I just kind of like just copied it, and I think it turned out really well. I might do this in some other builds or some other scenarios or something like that. So this is cool. I try to use other pieces from other scenery, because once I used the brick pieces, the brick walls from the mechanical set, I couldn't use pillars from the medieval set. I like using the pillars from the medieval set, so it was kind of weird that I had to change up things and use different pieces for a different set. So shapes really come in handy, especially in this challenge. So that's a tip. Use the shapes the best of your ability, because shapes are a godsend. They're a wonderful piece to this game. I wish we had a little bit more pieces, maybe like a, I don't know, a different, oh, we need a triangular diamond would be cool instead of a square diamond, but I digress. So on to working on just some more details around, working on the borders of this roof, just finishing up those little details. I don't know what the details are called on the corners of the building. They're probably called something, but they're like little concrete decorators, and I took shapes and made them a little bit bigger to kind of accent the corners, and then stacked upon those four corners, and it actually turned out pretty nice. And then making a different tone gives it that different like border look, and it's like decoration on top. There's some things I wish I could have added to this building, because this building is a warehouse of some sort, so it houses some type of car stuff, or maybe it's a tire factory or something. I wish I had another way to signs, or I did maybe some little lettering, but I didn't. It's not necessarily important. I did lettering for the gas station, you'll see later on. But this build was pretty fun. Nothing really challenging, because I already had an idea when the update dropped, and I was just like, I need to do some different theming. 50s wasn't, I haven't done 50s in a while, because I did 50s theming like in a sandbox map a long time ago. So just wanted to do some 50s stuff, and just matches the wooden roller coaster. It's retro. So here I'm trying out to figure out where my gas station is going to go. I figured that it should be right in front of the entrance. What I always believe when building a not a wooden coaster, just a coaster or ride in general, that you should build some type of plaza, so it gives like a grand entrance to your ride. and then you can kind of build a miniature world around it, and that's kind of what I go for when I do challenges. So it's like a little plaza, figure out where it could sit in the world. I'm also imagining if a player grabbed this coaster as a blueprint and wants to place it in their world, I need to envision where they could place it and where they can branch off. So that's why I leave open spots like roads and or little plazas open on one side so that you can place it down somewhere instead of just closing it off. So that's not, I don't want to close it off, so that makes it harder for you to, I don't know, make it transition into the part that you're working on or something. So it's kind of what I try to do. Let's talk about the building a little bit. This is the beginning of the gas station. So this is Red's gas station. So this is more of a, I'm just using the technique with the coloring technique and adding it looks like neon lights, and then adding in borders on top to give it that, I don't know, finished look. And I liked how this looked, and the red really pops. And so this is really fun to do. And just doing shapes again on the corners to give it that boxy look. When it came to 50s style buildings, I was just looking on the internet. Most of those buildings were kind of really boxy, but kind of also weird because they had the curved roofs on the side and stuff like that. Kind of just iconic, just very iconic buildings, and I kind of just went for that. I went for a blue bottom or half bottom to kind of give it a little bit of a unique, I don't know, not disconnect, more like a unique color, because the red was kind of too much. I needed blue to kind of cut the red a little bit, and it worked out there. It looked really nice. And then I knew I needed to build the gas pumps and a sign again. The sign for the gas station was going to be an Easter egg for Petroleum Mesa, but I felt that was kind of cheating because I've done it before. And so I scrapped that idea and I decided to go actually do a full-on lettering sign, which took a big chunk of this build. I think this build was a total of 3 hours I worked on it, because most of the time we're looking around, figuring out what goes where and what needs to be put in. It's just more of like imagining in my head than anything else. So even though the street doesn't make any sense, I just realized that it just kind of just goes into the gas station, but it's just a theme park, so it really doesn't have to make sense. Has some basis in reality, but not necessarily. So kind of just made the street just go right into there, and that's it. And then I'm going to add in probably very soon is it's going to add in some more details like another car, and oh yeah, add a water tower, because I felt like a water tower needed to be somewhere near the vicinity. It worked out pretty well. And then here I'm going to try out to do a different colored sign, but I'm going to put the sign as a placeholder to kind of figure out where that needs to go. So the sign was, it was a challenge. This one was a little bit more of a challenge, because it was more freehand than anything else. Because usually I like to follow the grid or make things straight, because I feel that sometimes when you place things freehand, it doesn't look straight or it's kind of wonky, and my hand on my mouse is not as steady as I want it to be. Here's a little thing I was working on. I worked on adding like an engine come out of this red car that's on near the gas station. Kind of just adding little details here and there. Not really much, because I don't want to go too heavy on the details, because I only have a set budget. I felt that I needed trees part of this, because when you just have a building and no trees, it kind of doesn't look real. And trees and plants and foliage actually help in how a building is set in the world. It kind of gives it some grounding. So adding a plaza of palm trees, that's 50, so this is maybe set in California, that's fine. It works out for me. I think it actually pulls it all together, because it's like a little plaza you can build. And if you're inspired, you can build off of it and build other buildings around it. And then you have yourself a pretty cool little 50s style roller coaster. So here's the most, I say, tedious part of this was the lettering. So I knew I needed to build the name Red, or Reds, on the gas station's sign, so that we can get an idea. This is someone's gas station, and that's why it's called Red's Red Hot Rod. I can't talk. So I kind of placed it by hand, kind of guessed, and it turned out pretty well. I did this actually 5 times, so what you see here is the final product, but I did it 5 times. I had difficulty lining up where the S was going and where the R started. That was a pain, but it was worth the pain because I liked it, and it looks really good. We'll probably do this type of signage again on another map or something. I really like how it pulls together. Here was a little like an extra thing I thought of right before I was going to finish this up and send it. Was like I needed a billboard on this side of this building so it looked empty. So like, okay, billboard. What's billboard going to talk about? We're about cars, things like that. So I took the car prop and just placed it in the wall, even though it's probably in the wall, so I guess you'll see it. But I think adding it like that adds a really cool like look. And I'm basically at this point where I'm almost done. I'm gonna put some extra supports here and there of wooden supports to give it more realism, because that adding those arches or those angle parts actually help out. And then I'm just gonna finish up this little things here. I finished this back off camera, stuff like that. So the ride's basically done, and I did really enjoy how this put itself together, still with a little bit of thinking. Here on top, I wanted a like checkered flag start thing, so it's kind of like a race. Well, it is a race thing, so I kind of did that. Figured out how to put cubes. No, it was the size. The size I think was 0.12, and then on the 8 grid, and they just staggered it different colors, and then voila, flags. And yeah, wall to kind of give it some more a backdrop basically. That's basically it so far, and I give you a and the recolor. Yeah, I added the recolor later on because the gray was kind of like not the best. I needed to make it pop, so red was the color I'd go for because that's kind of what it was. Adding some more details, cones, tires. I'm down to like barely any money, $36. Yep, $36, and on to a ride view. So here we go. And here you go, guys. This is the Red's Hot Rod. It's on the workshop. You guys can vote for it for this month. And yeah, expect more videos coming out soon. I'm working on a secret campaign? Not a secret campaign. A new scenario that will be coming out hopefully soon. But I'll let you guys go. Enjoy the ride through of Red's Hot Rod.